Jai Jagannath, thanks for the participation. We are studying Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, Purushottama Yoga. As usual, please interrupt me anytime if there is any doubt, question, objection, or whatever. We are just reading the verses without the commentary, but we can give some explanation if something requires it. You can also read the commentary to the synopsis of the chapter and also to the verses. We have several connections here. Purushottama Yoga. Purushottama is the most famous name of Jagannath in Jagannath Puri. So verse 1, the wonderful Lord said, "It is said, there is an Ashwatha tree whose roots grow upwards and whose branches grow downwards. Its leaves are the eternal Vedic hymns. One who knows it knows the Vedas." Okay, the Ashwatha tree is one type of banyan tree, and banyan trees are special and can become extremely large horizontally because of the aerial roots. Each branch can sprout roots in the air. Then the roots grow towards the ground and then they become fastened to the ground, and then they create another trunk of the same tree. So branches and roots, they keep going, and one single banyan tree can become extremely large and cover a very large area. But here, Krishna is talking, is explaining about the symbolic nature of the banyan tree. By the way, the banyan tree is sacred because it reminds us of this very special quality of life. Every action brings reactions, and every reaction in turn causes another action. So the leaves of the tree of the proper karma. This tree is a tree of proper karma, the good karma, as per instructions of the rishis and the great teachers and God himself. You know, Krishna in Bhagavad Gita already said, Chaturvarnyam maya shishtam. The system of the good karma, the system of duties in civilized society, has been created by God. In third chapter, Krishna explained at the beginning of creation, the Prajapati produced the bodies of the devas, the bodies of men, and also gave the knowledge of the yagyas, the knowledge of the duties. Both devas and human beings have duties. So this tree is the entire form of the universe. And it's how life in this universe can continue to exist in a proper manner. Any questions here? Any preliminary explanation required about the duties of human beings and the action and reaction of the good karma.
Yeah,
Yeah?
if you can explain a bit.
Yeah. Okay. Also, the chapter Krishna will explain more, but uh, it is important to understand that this world comes with the proper instruction manual. Most people complain, oh, this world is wrong, why there is suffering, there is no God, because if God was there, there would be no suffering. And, there's lots of people who criticize how the universe was made. And lots of people become asuric, like Krishna will say, 16th chapter, Daivasura Sampada. The Asuras believe there is no reason in creation. And the only purpose of creation, the only purpose we should pursue is sense gratification. So, we are here by chance. The world doesn't make any sense. And we just have to grab as much as we can, and who cares about everything else? This is a typical mentality of the Asuras. We need to understand that this world is actually beautiful. It's perfect. It's engineered in a perfect manner. Of course, we cannot understand if we don't read the instruction manual. So even with kitchen, any kitchen appliance, they give you an instruction manual. Please read the manual before operating the machinery. Because if you don't know how to operate the device, you can make a mess. You can suffer, you can hurt yourself, you can damage yourself and others, you can damage the device. You can do a lot of weird things, bad things, because just out of ignorance. So Kali Yuga people are particularly stupid, more stupid than in other yugas. And they are very unfortunate because they have less opportunities to actually read and understand the instruction manual of the universe. So they blame the manufacturer. They they think that it's a bad instrument. Now, the Vedic knowledge is the instruction manual for the universe and for our human life. The Vedas here include all the Vedic literature, not just the four Samhitas. Okay? So the Ashwata tree, it's interesting that here we are talking about the Ashwata tree. We know Jagannath is called the Daru Brahman because the deity is made of wood, and not any wood. It has to be very precise. The tradition of Jagannath is also connected with ancient traditions. For example, the worship of the tree. The tree as the symbol of the axis of the world, like the Merudanda, which is both the Mount Meru and the spinal cord of human beings. So it is very dense with symbolism. Is that clear? More or
Yes.
less. Okay.
Some part of it, yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, it's very deep.
It's very deep.
Hmm.
So now we just start with the first floor. Okay, so this Ashwata, huh?
So, huh?
No, no, I'm just laughing it out.
Yeah, well, yeah,
This is beginning.
yeah, the first floor is already good enough. Okay, so this Ashwata banyan tree is the meaning of the word. The meaning of the word, the knowledge of the word is called Veda. Veda means knowledge. Okay, so the leaves of this Ashwata tree are the Vedic hymns. The Vedic hymns are meditations on the various aspects of God in the material world, which means that uh, we are all connected. The tree is one. The leaves are connecting human beings and devas because it's we can call it photosynthesis if we want, but through the Vedic hymns we are offering back the energy to the Vedas. We are also are performing the Homa and the Soma. That is also a offering of energy. But even just the hymn is energy. So we are feeding the devas and the devas are feeding us. This is explained in the third chapter of Gita. So we should not make the mistake of thinking that the karma kanda is not a good thing. Sometimes some superficial people condemn the karmis, the jnanis, the yogis, and they think that they're being intelligent. But they're not. A karmi is someone who follows the instructions of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is saying that we need to perform our duty. Who is a karmi? A karmi is someone who performs his duty, who does the karma, the good karma. When we speak about people doing bad karma, we are not calling them karmis. We are calling them vikarmis or ugra karmis because they are not performing the duties that the Vedas are giving to each person by guna and karma. The jnani is also someone who is following the teachings of Krishna and Bhagavad Gita because Krishna speaks very highly of jnana as knowledge. The knowledge is so important. Krishna Gita says there is nothing that is as pure as knowledge. Knowledge can destroy a lot of bad things. Knowledge will purify us, will take us to the correct realization. Without knowledge, there can be no bhakti. Because we don't know who we are devoted to. We have no idea. We have no knowledge. We are ignorant. So we can easily worship the wrong personality. We can project, invent, fabricate a fictional character that we call God, or accept the fictional character fabricated by someone else. So karmis and jnanis are actually people who really follow Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita. And yogis as well. You know, Krishna in Gita says many times, be a yogi. You know, uh, people who say that karmis, jnanis, and yogis are not as good as they are, the people who talk, because the people who talk, they are pure devotees of Krishna. These people are deluded because they say they're pure devotees of Krishna, but they don't follow Krishna's teachings. So why Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is saying that one should perform one's duty, one should cultivate knowledge, and one should be a yogi, because Krishna is stupid. If someone thinks that Krishna is wrong, then they cannot call themselves devotees of Krishna. They cannot say that they are teaching and applying Bhagavad Gita as it is. What they're doing, they're teaching and applying what they believe is Bhagavad Gita, which means they didn't treat it properly. So this is again showing that the Vedic duties are not bad, are not wrong. The problem is when we become attached to anything that is ahankara and mamatra. So the Vedavadaratas are people who are attached not so much to the Vedas, to following the Vedas, but they're attached to their idea of what it means to be a follower of the Vedas. So this is explained when Krishna says, I am the knower of the Vedas. I am the one who composed the Vedanta. I know the Vedas, and the Vedas are the sum total of knowledge. So we refuse the Vedas and we go after something else. It's not a good idea. So this Ashwatha tree is a sacred tree. It's not a weed we need to uproot. It's something that we need to actually understand. The point is, when we become attached to the repetition of birth and death, to the body identification, to the samsara, then we are we are encouraged to identify with the body. Not by the Vedas, by our identification. So that's why we go next. In the next verses, Krishna is saying that we need to become detached from this. We need to work on this tree, but we also need to detach ourselves. So the verse 2 says, extending downwards and upwards, its branches develop the gunas. The twigs become the sense objects and grow downwards to become roots and spread even more to bind human beings with duties. Okay, so we are talking to the Krishna here is talking about the attachment to the material world. The material world in itself is not bad. The idea that the material world in itself is bad is actually a typical Abrahamic idea. The material world is good because it offers us the opportunity to grow, to evolve, to become better persons, to develop our divine potential. And to do that, we need to perform our duties without being attached to the results. This is what Krishna says in Gita. Karmanyeva adhikaraste phalesu kadachana. Means we are entitled to perform the duties, but not to the fruits of the actions. Because it's just our duty. So we come and do our duty and then we go. This is how we can get out of the samsara. But the people keep coming and taking birth again and again because they want better conditions, they want better sense gratification, they want this, they want that. So when Krishna says the people who are the persons who are confused by material desires approach the devas to ask for material blessings, these people are confused. They're not doing something bad, as some, ignorant people believe. They are doing a right thing, but they should not be attached to the results. We need to cooperate with the devas. The devas are in our own body. The gunas are our own body. How can we not deal with the gunas? How can we not deal with the devas? It's not possible. As long as we have a body, we need to work. We need to perform duties. So if we perform our duties without attachment, offering every action to God, Yad karoshi yad dashnasi yad juhosi dadasi yad madarpanam. If we offer every action to God, we become detached from the ahankara and mamatva. Is that clear? How it works?
Yes.
So in this way, when we are always, while performing our duties, we are always conscious that only the gunas are engaged in the gunas. And we direct our energy towards the sattva guna and beyond. So when we keep this consciousness, we remain conscious that we are Atman, we are transcendental. Then at the time of death, we don't need to take another body because we have no material desires. We have no material identifications, no material attachments, so we are free. Is that clear?
Yes.
More or less. When people complain that the world is, not good and life is a bitch and then you die, stuff like that, that's because they don't know how to use the machinery. We can live happy in this world and in the next. How? If we know what we are doing. If we follow the instruction of the manual, and especially the Gita, which is the best summary of instructions. Okay, so the branches develop the gunas, which are, also we can, we should be detached from the gunas, but we need to work with them. The twigs become the sense objects. Yeah, same. The sense objects, we need to serve God with our senses. So the sense objects can and should be engaged in the service to God, to the Virat Rupa, to the benefit of all beings. And grow downwards to become roots and spread even more, to bind human beings with duties. Duties are connected with identification. Identification and attachment. Many people think that identification and attachment bring rights but not duties, because they want to be free. They want free will. That type of idea is not exactly free will, but it's irresponsibility. the human being should be very responsible, should be so responsible that he has to cooperate strictly with the devas, to take up the responsibility for the life on the planet. Okay, 3. Its form, the form of the Ashwatha tree, cannot be perceived from here, as it has no end or beginning or foundation. Its very strong root should be cut with the weapon of determined detachment. The root is the root of our attachment to this tree, because we cannot cut all the roots. In fact, we saw that this Ashwatha tree has innumerable roots. So which root should we cut? The root that is binding us to attachment. And how we do that? Simply by detachment. Asanga. Asanga shastrena. Dridhena chitva. Dridhena means determination. So we need to continue to be determined to remain detached. Not detached from the duty, detached from the ahankara and mamatva. We need to continue being attached to the duty. As long as we have a body, we need to work. And work means perform your duty. Is that clear? Because this can be very tricky. The balance between attachment and detachment, sometimes it's so difficult to determine. Because why we are attached, So the everything boils down to consciousness. So we can do the same action, and this action can be detached or attached. The only difference will be the consciousness. And because the karma comes from the choice, not from the action. So if we act with detachment, we do our duty properly, but without identification, without attachment, without selfishness, then we'll be free from karma. I don't know. Is this clear enough?
Yes, please.
Okay, good. I think that not many people talk about these things. You go around.
Yeah, but I think we've discussed this concept earlier of having attachment and detachment. It depends on consciousness. Action could be
Yes.
same, but it depends on consciousness. If you are doing it for your self benefit or for being detached or for society like that, so that determines whether you'll be bound with that action or not.
Yeah. But we talked about it. I was thinking how many people who talk about spiritual life are actually talking about this.
Yes.
I don't see anyone. I don't see anyone who is actually helping people live in this world in the proper manner as it is, taught in the instruction manual. I think this is very needed, very much needed. We need to understand what we actually need to cut when we apply detachment. We should not cut ourselves from the duty. We should cut ourselves from the attachment, from the identification. So we should not stop doing the yagyas. Because the yagyas and the good actions, the good practice, the good sadhana, don't need to be stopped. Of course, if the circumstances are difficult, we don't have to, be obsessed by any specific activity. Like, for example, like the Homa and the Soma. Soma Yagya. Who's doing the Soma Yagya these days? There is no Soma. The plants are not cultivated. They're not there anymore. So it's very difficult to produce the Soma to do the Yagya. And also the Homa, very often, the people who perform the Homa, they don't really know what they're doing. They don't know Sanskrit enough, they don't know theology enough, so they're just superficially, mechanically reciting some, hymns that they don't understand, and sometimes they even pronounce wrong. So, well, in that case, we don't need to do that, because it's not useful. But not because the karma kanda is bad, or it should be abandoned, because, karma kanda, no, we don't want to be karmis, we don't want to be jnanis, we don't want to be yogis, because we are bhaktas. And that, that's not a very, very, clear understanding of what bhakti means. But anyway, we'll continue. We'll see. We go on and see the other verses. 4. Then one should search that position from which one does not fall back again, taking shelter in God, the primeval being, from whom all this creation has developed. So, we need to go beyond the good and bad. We need to go beyond the duality. How many times Krishna in Gita is telling that we need to overcome duality, the illusion of duality? Because everything is God. There is a plan behind everything. So we need to understand that God is everywhere. So, everything comes from God. We cannot say that something happens without the knowledge of God. But we need to see the reason why it happens and what's the point. What's the benefit that usually is not immediately visible. The point, the purpose of life, the purpose of all the satasa, joys and sorrows, and birth and death, and everything that happens, is to help us learn how to develop our true divine potential. This is called liberation. When we realize our full potential, we become liberated automatically. Liberation means that we are able to decide, we are able to see what should be done. And it's our choice. We do it in a full consciousness. I don't know, is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, let's go on.
Let's go.
Verse 5. This eternal position is attained by those who have conquered and eliminated the sense of prestige, illusion, and the defects due to identification and attachment. Hey, here we are. This is not, saying that the eternal position is not attained by those who have dropped the karma kanda, the jnana kanda, the yoga, the the upasana kanda, and everything. So, eternal position is attained by those who have conquered and eliminated the sense of prestige, the ego, the ahankar. the illusion and the defects due to the identification and attachment, of course, material identification and material attachment. Okay, these intelligent persons are always conscious of the true self and the Atman, and so they are completely free from desires, as well as from the joys and sorrows created from duality. You see, this verse is confirming what I was saying just, a few minutes ago. You see how it's, what is the important thing here in this beginning of this chapter? The important thing is not that we need to give up the Veda Bada, the Veda path, the path of the Vedas, or the Yagyas, or the study of the Vedas, the Shastra, or, we don't need to give up that. We just need to give up the sense of prestige and the illusion and the facts due to material identification and material attachments. Okay, I think, it still repeats the same thing. So, I hope it gets clear. Okay.
Yes.
Good. Okay, then we have verse 6. That supreme position is not illuminated by the sun, the moon, or fire, or electricity, Pavaka. Those who reach that supreme abode, my abode, will not return here. So once we are liberated, we are not forced to depend on the material birth again. Of course, we can take birth again if we want, just like God. So we become a sort of avatar. We become Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta is usually a definition applying to people who have already obtained liberation, but they're still in the material body. But even after we leave the material body, we attain the level, the abode, the consciousness of God that is totally radiant and luminous. Why did they say it's not illuminated by sun, moon, or fire? That's not because it's dark. It's because everything is light. Recently they asked me, if the Atman is self-illuminating. Of course, that is one of the first things that Krishna says in Gita. The Atman is as radiant and luminous as so many suns. What is exactly the verse? If 10,000 suns were rising simultaneously in the sky, the supreme position doesn't need the sun, the moon, or the fire, because it's already full of light. It's made of light. Is that clear?
Yes.
So, yeah, we have to be careful because, foolish people can think, oh, how dark it must be, no. And those who reach that supreme abode will not return. So, if we say that we fell from Vaikuntha, from Goloka Vrindavan, nope. No. Okay, verse 7. The living being in this world is certainly a limb of my body, and as such he is eternal. He toils in the material world, struggling with the mind and the senses that are the norm here. Stunning. This is the purpose of this world. This world is made by the mind and the senses, and but the Atman, the Jivas are like cells, limb, part, amsa, parts of God's body, in this material world, and as such, they are eternal. Sanatana. Okay. 4. The Lord who has entered the body and accepted all these, the mind and the senses, then goes out again with them, like the air carries the sense. So when we are talking here, the Ishvara, the Lord, or Prabhu, the Lord, is the actual soul of the soul, the Paramatma. We are the body of the Paramatma, the material body of the Paramatma. So we go with the Paramatma. Wherever the Jiva goes, the Paramatma will be there. Because the Paramatma is within every single Jiva. And every single atom as well. And it moves because the Jiva is traveling with the mind. And it's the mind that moves, not the Atman. The Atman is omnipresent. The Paramatma is omnipresent. Is that clear? We have 3 levels.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, like this thing only. I just want more clarification. If he's all pervading, then how is entering and
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Now, we have 3 levels of being, existence. The material existence, the gross physical existence, the mental subtle existence, and the spiritual existence. Now, we cannot easily understand the idea of omnipresence because we are generally thinking in material terms. But the Atman, like the Brahman, is not limited by time and space. So there is no difference between here and there, now and later, now and before, because there are no limits of time and space for the Atman. That's why it's called transcendental. What is moving out of the gross body is the mind that carries the consciousness. So the mind is also an envelope. And we are conscious of the external world due to the mind. The mind is so fascinatingly complicated. The mind, we know from the Yoga Sutra, the Yoga Shastra, the mind has 4 levels of consciousness. One is the Jagruti, which is the ordinary consciousness at the time of being awake. So we have a conscious mind that is based on logic, sense perception, interaction with the sense objects, especially the action of will, when we want to do something. Then we have the swapna. The swapna or dream is the area of the subconscious. In the area of the subconscious, the limitations of time and space and the material, the physical gross body become less important. When we dream, we can be anywhere, in a moment. We can go back in time, we can explore the future, we can go into different dimensions, and everything is happening apparently in a spontaneous manner. We are not deciding what to do, usually, Now, if we integrate the subconscious with the conscious mind, then we can have what is called lucid dreams or astral traveling, which is one form of meditation in yoga. Okay? But this is just the subconscious, the dream level, the dream dimension. Then we have the susupti, the deep sleep, the sleep without dreams. This is already so difficult to understand because everybody dreams, you know. People who say, oh, I never dream, what is actually a fact is that they don't remember the dreams. But everybody's dreams. But there are moments during our sleep that we are totally at rest. The brain is not working, but the consciousness is still there. This happens usually when we go out of the body. Like the out-of-body experiences, or when we are in a coma, or when we die. The brain doesn't have any activity, but we still are conscious, you know, because many people in near-death experiences have reported that during the coma they were seeing everything. They were out of the body, but they were totally conscious of everything that was happening in the room or in that area, but they were not in the body. Therefore, the brain was not working. The brain did not show any activity. But that doesn't mean that the consciousness is not there. Now, the point is, will we remember or not? That's a different thing. Then, we have a fourth state of consciousness in the mind that is called Turiya. The Turiya is a superconscious. It's a direct corridor, the direct communication. It's the office of the Paramatma. It's still in our mind, but it's not accessible by the conscious mind. What we can do, we can integrate the subconscious and get to, open up the communication channel between the conscious mind and the other states of consciousness of the mind. That we can do. But still we have to stay in a situation where the conscious mind is still awake. But cooperating, integrating the other states of consciousness. Otherwise, we won't remember it. You will not remember it. Is that clearer?
Yes.
So when we die, we totally give up the body, but we don't give up the mind. So if the mind becomes, more open and abandons the identification with the gross physical body, the material gross physical body and things and relationships and everything, then we become more open to perception of other dimensions of so many things. That is why we say open mind. A mind that is not open will be attached to its walls. These are the walls of material identification and material attachment. If the mind becomes free from the material identification and material attachment, it becomes spiritualized. Now, we know there are the 5 gross elements and the 3 subtle elements. The 3 subtle elements are the manas, buddhi, and ahankara. The mind, intelligence, and the sense of identity. These are progressively subtler. The mind is more subtle and more open than the physical body, the gross body. But the intelligence is still subtler than the mind. So if we have difficulties in understanding what the different levels of the mind are, just imagine how we can understand what the intelligence is. And if we don't understand what is intelligence, how can we understand the ahankar? So the ahankar is a material element, subtle material element. But it is that sense of identity that can be spiritualized. The mind can be spiritualized. We can install the form of God in our mind. The mind is one of the materials in which one can install the deity. And definitely intelligence is extremely important and can be spiritualized. It is Buddhi Yoga, Divya Buddhi. Okay? And the Ahankara can be spiritualized even more because we can apply this sense of identity to the consciousness of God. Like you say, Aham Bhajami, I'm worshipping. Aham is not necessarily a bad idea, but ahankara means that I am the only doer of the action. I can control everything. This is not true. It's a false ego. The idea of ego, there is a real ego and a false ego. Are you following?
Yes.
Okay. So the real ego is the sense of identity that allows us to work together with Yogamaya. Without the sense of identity, how can we relate to God in a rasa, in a bhakti rasa? It's not possible. Here, people become confused because they think that duality is good. But this is not real duality. This is a feeling created by Yogamaya to give us the opportunity to serve God, and God is pleased by our effort. But in reality, we can never be separated from God. We can never be outside God. If God is omnipresent, how can you be separated and in a different position in respect to God? It's not possible. So if it's not possible, it means it's Yogamaya. It's Yogamaya if it helps us to develop a relationship, to expand our consciousness, to develop our transcendental potential. It's Mahamaya if it makes us think that we have different interests, that our interests are different from God's interests and from anybody else's interest. So, it's not easy to understand Maya. But Maya is a mother goddess. We need to respect Maya. We need to pray like Krishna Chaitanya told his followers. Pray even Mahamaya. For if Mahamaya gives a blessing, we can develop devotion. How we develop devotion? From the sense of duality. But we should remember, we should always be aware that this sense of duality is illusory. Because this is magic. We are living magic. our existence is magic. God's existence is magic. It's fascinating. It's Satchitananda. It's real. It's real because it will always be like that. And in its original form, it contains all existence. And really, it's not limited by time, place, and individuality. And it's consciousness. It's not ignorance. It's not illusion in the sense of ignorance. But it is the consciousness that it is achintya. It's different and non-different. That is why it's said achintya bheda abheda tattva. This is, the practical application of it. If we just repeat achintya bheda bheda tattva, but we don't know what it is, what's the benefit? Mahabharata is saying someone is, reading lots of books, but doesn't understand them. It's like a donkey who's carrying lots of books on his back, but, doesn't get much benefit. So we need to actually stop, take the books off our back and really study and understand the books and put them in practice. Then we'll see that, the effect will be there. Is this clear?
Yes.
It's a bit difficult.
It's a bit difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Because, this is chapter 15. Come on. We are supposed to have understood everything that came before chapter 15.
Yes.
Anyway, okay, so if there are any questions, we write them down. So next time we can explore more. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
so we stop at verse 9. Okay, but let's go back to verse 8 next time. Okay. Because
Okay.
it continues the idea about the mind and the senses. Okay. Okay, thanks for your valuable participation. We can we'll meet again.
Yes.
Anything else? No?
Yes?
No.
Okay, perfect.
Enough.
Jai Jagannath.